19年还是20年包括21年的有这样的 DeFi Summer，我觉得 OSL 当时我觉得走的比较领先的地方就是说争取去申请牌照，我觉得这个因为到最后我觉得他看清楚了一件事情是说，我们在提供一个金融的服务，那金融的服务一定是在合规的框架下会将来有更长远的去发展。
2019, the digital asset space was still a frontier town. No rules, no frameworks. While the world saw chaos, OSL saw the future.
So 5 years ago, there weren't any regulatory frameworks in place. Very few jurisdictions had anything related to custody, related to issuance.
Back then, we were not betting on where the crypto sector was standing in the year 2019. We were betting on where the sector was going to be in the future. And so we weren't actually betting on short-term crypto speculations.
Then came the stress test. 2022 proved that moving fast has a price. As trust evaporated from the ecosystem, the market finally understood the value of playing by the rules.
I think after the crash in 21 and 22, there was a massive loss of trust in the ecosystem. So a lot of institutions at that time were thinking about ways to mitigate their counterparty risk. We're still seeing a lot of institutional investors who want to mitigate that counterparty risk. Security has really been top of mind.
It was an important event for us, although it was a very bad event, but it was for Bank Frick itself, it was a good one because like everybody who was banking with the US banks back then came to us at one point. The other thing was people understood that banking is necessary, and yet you have to have multiple backups in order to run your business. So
there was one silver lining at each of these important points. We see our clients, regulators, and counterparties become more focused on risk. And I think in the long term, that focus on risk has helped accelerate the pace of regulations.
With safety secured, the adults entered the room. The conversation shifted from, is crypto real, to, how do we make it work for the world's biggest banks?
The transition has practically been from experimentation to fully regulated environment. And this has been what the industry needed for a transition from retail and speculative experimental activity to fully regulated institutional activity on chain.
We knew in order to be able to be a trusted partner to Goldman, Citi, JP, Fidelity and the likes of those, you had to pass certain stringent tests.
a lot of traditional banks are not willing to send money to crypto-related companies, and we already solved that early.
But infrastructure revealed a new problem. We built a digital asset class on top of an analog banking system. And in a world of instant information, money was still moving at the speed of mail.
Swift payments, I'll start off with my analogy, and I'll say a Swift payment is pretty much like sending a physical letter. It's like sending mail. You put your Swift order in, you click send, the money leaves your account right away. The money does not hit their account right away, right? What does happen? The money goes to another bank, then to hopefully only one bank. During that time, your money, you can't use it. The other side doesn't know they have it yet. It's effectively dead.
A great example is if I'm a coffee shop and I get paid with credit card or Apple Pay or debit card, I don't see that money usually until a day later. If it's a weekend, a public holiday, that money might only land in my account 3 days later. And in today's world, it's all about speed and efficiency. Crypto can solve that, stablecoins can solve that.
The fix wasn't just policy, it was technology. Stablecoins and high-speed chains finally gave money the same velocity as the internet itself.
So on Solana, our block speed is about 400 milliseconds as of today. And that's a speed that also allows these payments to actually operate. If you are trying to buy a coffee, you can't wait for minutes or hours to be able to, for your payment to settle.
其實佢需要用 crypto 去做一啲嘅 cross border payment 咧，個需求係大嘅。因為先頭所講，最要第一係成本，第二係時間。因為佢哋本身嚟講可以由一笪地方去另一笪地方嘅時候咧，7乘24， 365日，佢都可以做到一個支付模式，唔需要等銀行開門，因為可能中間嚟講會有個時間嘅差別。啱啱呢度做完之後，嗰邊銀行又未開，咁可能佢多3至4日，甚至可能一啲 corresponding bank 中間仲要一定嘅時間去審批。
There's no reason why a Thai e-wallet cannot, come to Singapore and make payment to another QR code. We are very well positioned as a stablecoin issuer to build this solution that is multi-chain and enable instantaneous payment across border.
Stablecoins are a new form of currency. They're basically dollars on chain. But at the same time, they are a new tool that enables global finance to grow.
We are now crossing the next bridge from separate worlds of fiat and crypto to a single, seamless economy, a future where money just flows.
We still live in a world where we need fiat. And at the end of the day, whether it's OSL, whether it's your counterparties, you need to pay for real goods, you need to pay for, fiat, the fiat layer is really important. So we think about the ability to blend those two instruments, fiat, stablecoin, digital assets in general. We look at the ability to blend those instruments and transact between them in the most seamless way possible.
Stablecoin is the ultimate product market fit of blockchains, right? I think by 2030, people will just think of it as money. And we don't really sit here and talk about how money and different forms of money move around. And that's really where stablecoin is going. It's going to be really sit on the backbone of every businesses and for businesses to send money across the world. I think by 2030, everybody, you, me, a mother, a grandmother, can all use stablecoins very easily without knowing what it is.
That conversation, the moment we have to talk about an on-ramp or an off-ramp, we are implicitly saying there's friction in the system. The real direction of travel is no ramp. When all of a sudden I can give you fiat, it translates into stable, it doesn't matter. We just know that the currency is flowing to the right place and it will land in the format that it needs to be accepted in.
5年前吧，5年前、7年前，还有很多人会认为这个数字资产它要么是一个不知道是什么东西，又甚至是可能很多负面的，或者是跟这个不好的诈骗有关的这些相关的一些东西，但任何的创新其实可以看到，其实都是从边缘化慢慢走向主流的。那我们 OSL 站在这个合规的平台的，包括我们战略发展上，就是把整体的这个虚拟世界和传统现实世界的这个通路去把它抹平，对吧？这个高速公路给修建起来。